three. All right, how are you? Taylor of Sound, ShftMewsik. We have a real treat for you today. Gorgeous sunny day in Toronto, Canada, and I've got my good friend Chanel Rose Chow here.
Hello.
With her great new release, her launch of this Mouse in Beethoven's House, and that's okay. I see the mouse wants to take off a little bit, but we want to keep her there. So, how are you? Nice to see you again.
Great seeing you again.
All right, we've known each other for a long time, so this is an absolute pleasure. Really happy to have you here. Let's talk about real quickly what the book's about.
Yeah, so The Mouse in Beethoven's House is about Melody Mouse, who lives next to a very noisy neighbor called Ludwig van Beethoven. He happens to be a very famous classical composer at the time.
Okay.
So her whole family gets really annoyed that her neighbor's up at all hours, clanging around on the piano, making lots of sound.
Right.
And her parents always tell her humans are very dangerous, so you can't get close to the humans.
That's right.
She's very curious, and she also loves music.
Okay.
So one day, while she hears her neighbor composing this beautiful melody, she's like, I want to go explore this sound.
Okay.
So she does, and then we get to go on her adventure where she discovers Beethoven's music and Symphony No. 9, and she gets to see the premiere in Vienna.
Wow. So, you know, what age group would you recommend this book for?
I would recommend it for early readers around kindergarten to grade 3, so about 4 to 8.
Okay.
But I think older ages can also really benefit from it. At a higher level where they're learning more about like music history.
Yeah.
But I think it's great for all children because it's about music appreciation, exploring a variety of musical genres, so specifically classical music. And we learn about Ludwig van Beethoven, a composer who was deaf but was also composing iconic music that we still listen to and still influence in today's musical society.
And what a fun way with the illustrations, your storyline. You know, we're bringing children into understanding classical music. Amazing way to educate, you know, their parents as well, right? We have a lot of new immigrants also that come to Canada, and when you see a book like this and you start to read about it, it exposes, you know, younger children and newer parents who may not be familiar with some of these classic works about Beethoven and how things work. So very creative process behind how you started this book. Give us a little bit of an insight on how you decided to get into this book, how you decided to start it, everything that happened.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, one of the books that made the biggest impact on me was Anne Holt's Artist series.
Okay.
It explored different artists, so Monet, Degas, Van Gogh.
Yeah.
I loved how it was both fun and educational.
Yeah,
and it was very engaging.
Yeah.
I love learning about like different art and different like art history.
Yeah.
And so growing up, I always knew I wanted to be a school music teacher.
Okay.
So I wanted to combine creative writing and music education and blend my two passions together.
Yes.
So that's how this book was formed.
Okay.
So when I was in high school, I was in this writer's craft class in grade 12, and our final project was you can write anything you want. So I knew I wanted to focus on music education, classical music, and children's books.
Right.
So I actually wrote the manuscript when I was in grade 12 for The Mouse in Beethoven's House.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to go forward with publishing it, but not at that time. I think I wanted to, you know, go off to university, study music education, develop myself as a musician and educator first.
Yeah.
And so
talk about as well is the process behind, you know, sort of, we have a lot of young authors that are coming into the world. And I know that, you know, especially for myself, to take something that you're passionate about, your art, and to put it out in the world, it could be a very daunting thing. But I also know that the rewards of seeing what's in your mind and your dream come into something that's realistic, that we can actually hold, you know, and be able to share with the world is also another amazing experience. So you wrote the book, and then how did you seek out the publishers? For those of us who are looking to, you know, move in this direction.
So when I was in high school, I was part of the Arts and Culture SHSM program. And so they would invite lots of authors in. So of course, as an aspiring writer, I attended all of them. I wanted to learn from all the great authors.
Okay.
And so one author, Alicia Dickinson, said that she self-published her book, and I had never heard of self-publishing before.
Right.
So she was talking about her experience going with Friesen Press, what that was like, what services they offer. And she said she had a really great time. So I kept that in the back of my mind.
Right.
So when it was time for me to look into how I was going to get this book published, I decided I wanted to self-publish as well as my first debut book.
Yeah.
And so I contacted Friesen Press, and I got to go through that whole experience. It was kind of like a one-stop shop. So they helped me connect with an illustrator, an editor, someone to help me lay out the book.
Now, how do they know they want to publish you? Is there a criteria that you go through with them and that say, okay, this is definitely a person who's passed. We're now going to work with this person?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the main difference between traditional and self-publishing is with traditional publishing, you submit your work.
Yeah.
The publisher decides whether or not they would like to invest in your book.
Right.
Whereas with self-publishing, you send them your manuscript and they'll tell you like, oh, like, yes, it's ready, or yes, like you would need these services to help you along with that book. But essentially, you purchase the publishing experience when you self-publish.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more work because you have to put the book together yourself.
Yes.
The self-publishing company. So they give you a list of all the services that you'll need.
Right.
Or you can self-publish completely by yourself, and then you go find, the illustrator.
I see.
Many different ways of publishing and getting your book out these days.
Okay.
So I had to self-publish this first.
Yeah.
Great experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. And maybe later on down the road, as you continue your journey through, creating more literature for us to read and those things, we can kind of maybe get behind what I'd like to see is maybe you start going through some of, your manuscripts and how you get your ideas and how it all comes together, right? Which is really amazing. So, were there any sort of bumps in the road that you felt that, some challenges that you had to overcome, either personally, artistically, anything, in order for us to have this amazing book right now?
I can think of two in mind. I think the first one, the one that I was least expecting, was the mental hurdle of pushing your book out.
Okay.
Because for the longest time, like, this book is your baby.
Yeah.
It's private, right?
Yeah,
It's just you and the computer and a blank screen for years.
Yes.
And for the longest time, this book was just like it was just tucked away in my laptop. No one knew about it. No one ever saw it. So it was always a little safe. It was safe in my little bubble. And then slowly you start showing it to more people. You show it to your family, your friends, the editor. You start getting more feedback. And I think there's always like a slight fear of like, what if someone doesn't like it? What if this book is no good?
Always.
And you get that negative.
I know. Yeah.
I think it was the scariest, like right before it's about to be published and, it's going to go out into the world and you're like, okay, now it's open for everyone. Now it's everyone's. Everyone can have an opinion on this book.
That's right.
Scariest part.
Okay.
But I also think that's okay, right? It's like, this is my book. And if you never take a challenge, right?
You got it.
Never push yourself.
You got it.
You'll never pursue your dreams.
100%.
I don't want that to get in the way of putting out this book.
Yeah.
Isn't perfect. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's my first book.
That's right.
So I would say like the mental hurdle was probably the biggest one.
Okay.
But it was also the most rewarding.
Yes.
That, I've gone so much great reception, family, friends, also like children, school teachers. And everyone's been so supportive. And I think that has really helped me get through, that mental hurdle. Like, what if it's not enough? Or negative self-talk. So that's one thing. And then the second one, the second challenge is more like technical when it comes to making a book, right? Like, you have a very specific vision of what this book looks like, what it sounds like, the illustrations. And so when you're collaborating with the illustrator, clear with, your ideas and, balancing like, this is their art style, this is their artistic opinion, and how can we blend these two ideas together, these two artists, how can we come together and create this piece.
The masterpiece,
It was a really cool creative challenge to see like, how can we blend these two ideas together and create this. And so you see a lot of, like, I loved her art style. That's why I went with Pia. I thought she was so talented. I loved her bright colors. And so you see a lot of me in this book as well. Of course, my favorite color is pink.
Okay.
So that's why you have a lot of pink. I was told, like, pink is a very girly color. If you want to appeal to a wider audience,
I see.
why don't you go with more gender neutral colors? But I say, you know what, this is my book.
You got it.
It's coming 100%. And it wouldn't be me if it didn't have,
Yeah.
like, my flair.
I totally agree.
It's pink.
I totally agree.
I think it's a really happy color. It's
Yeah.
really cheery. It meets like Melody's personality.
Yeah.
So that's why her dress is pink.
Yeah.
If you look really closely at her shoes, those are actually my
Okay.
baby shoes.
Oh, these ones here.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
inspiration from shoes like when I was 1 year old.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be so cute if I could like just, embed a little bit of myself.
Do you still have those shoes?
I do.
Nice.
I do.
I love that. I love that.
And so just like, color scheme,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
to research, what does like 1800s Vienna furniture look like? What does the house look like? So taking inspiration from that.
Wicked.
Of course, it's a historic fiction. So
Yes.
there are some artistic influences in it,
Yeah.
not 100%.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
the most part, we did try to stick with that style.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
furniture, the clothing.
Well, even the little
Yeah,
painting over here, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of cool little things going on with it. And of course, the expression and the characters as they have been illustrated as well, I think really brings it to life as well.
Yeah. And what was interesting is I was also researching like the furniture, the piano, the instruments,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
the instruments didn't always look how the instruments look today.
Yes,
So when I was
yes.
doing the piano, piano was slightly different.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
really making sure we were getting those small details correct.
Right.
To really pay
Right.
true homage to
Yes.
Beethoven's experience.
Yes, yes. What I am looking forward to is I think, you just kind of inspired me, and I'm always looking for different media things to think about. Now I see this in cartoon form.
Yeah.
I see this becoming one of those great sort of one-off cartoons that are played, let's say Christmas time, any of the great sort of holiday events we have coming where you see all these great cartoons that come out that are festive and all sorts of stuff. I think this would blend right in with them. And one of the key things I think that is really important for our audience and myself that you touched on is keeping your artistic integrity. I know often, myself as well, we have an idea and we go somewhere and we collaborate or something, and this is the way that society wants to see it. This is the way that the media industry has created this formula that works. Well, you know what? There's always room for new formulas. There's always room for fresh new ideas. And I think that when you go with your heart, as you did, and you fulfill your self-drive, and you've produced something that is absolutely incredible, I think that we definitely have a hit on our hands. And it's hard. I know it's very hard to keep your artistic integrity. You're gonna get pulled from left, right. We would like to see this. Right? I'm filming something with a car. Can you get this shot? Well, actually, no, I can't get that shot because that shot is not what's in my mind for how the content is going to be set. So we have to, we kind of have to stay by our guard. And sometimes that may mean that we're not going to work with certain people. But in the end, we have to go to bed knowing that our artistic integrity, we fought for it, and it is true representation of who we are.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I had to, really ask myself because, of course, you're getting so many opinions.
Yeah,
The manuscript, the words, the illustrations, the colors.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
What's going to make your heart happy?
You got it.
Are you going to be really proud of the product? Because it's your name.
You got it.
Yeah, right? It's only going to be
Yes.
that's attached to that
Yes,
product. So
yes.
if you're happy and you're proud with
Yeah.
the product. And of course, I'm always open to ideas, suggestions,
Of course.
influences.
That's right.
But,
That's right.
you have to make the executive decision.
That's right.
Am I going to be proud of this product?
That's right.
Tomorrow, tonight, and 10 years from now?
Yeah.
So
That's right.
exactly what you're saying.
So just before we leave, I would like you to pick a point in this book that you would like to read to our audience. And if you wouldn't mind doing me that pleasure and reading one of those pieces for us so we can get a little feel of what's going on in the book and why it is that you're going to pick the place that you decide to pick.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see. I'll go somewhere. The carriage stopped and Mr. Beethoven hurried onto the stage. He raised his arms and a hush fell over the audience. With a flick of his wrists, the music came alive. He waved his hands high to make the music louder and low to be quieter. Melody could hear the hum of the clarinets and the whirl of the strings. Her whiskers quivered to the blare of the trumpets and the echoing booms of the timpani. Then singers joined in, which had never been done before in a symphony. Wrapped up in the swirl of the music, Melody's heart filled with hope and joy.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
This is my favorite illustration.
And that's your favorite illustration. Yes. It's beautiful.
It's a 2-cage, and it is
Yeah.
all the instruments that Beethoven used in his premiere for Symphony No. 9.
Wow.
So you have the 4 soloists, you have the choir, you have
Oh,
the orchestra.
that is heavy. Yeah, that is so cool. Maybe you want to get that blown up for your room.
Yeah.
And then you got a nice little poster for yourself.
Fun.
And you can illustrate if you put your stuff on it, and it would be like a little piece for you. So that's really good. Thank you so much again, Chanel. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Please go out. Where is this book available? Online?
Yeah, it's currently available on Amazon,
Okay.
Chapters, Barnes & Noble.
Wicked. You got it. Okay. And I already got my signed copy, so I'm already set. Okay. And no, I'm not gonna put it on eBay. Okay. So just hold your horses there. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure. More to come with Chanel.